Baltimore. How y'all doing? All right, it's good to be here. I want to thank Sister Terry and the Reginald Museum for inviting me back. So it's two ways I know I've done something good, right? One, I get kicked out of a place, or two, I get invited back. I got invited back, so I'm really thankful and appreciative of this opportunity, especially, anytime I get a chance to present and fellowship with my folks in Baltimore. I love it. I feel honored for that. So last year I talked about self-determination, right? And so this year we're dealing with NIA, purpose. And so I'm going to go kind of fast, so we got 30 minutes. I got like a 30-minute window to get all of it in, all right? So if I go too fast, one of my elders just raise your hand and say, slow down, boy. All right, now slow down. I have no problem with it. So before we get started, I got a trivia question for you. So just throw your hand up if you know the answer, and I'll call you. I try to call on the first person whose hand I see. You know the answer already? You might. You might. All right. So the question is, what is the name of the exhibit downstairs on the first floor when you first walk in? Yes, ma'am. Ken, Killing Ken. Yes, ma'am. Your prize is the top of the I'll sign it for you out. Yeah, thank you. All right, I got one more. I'll say the last question for later, okay? The last question is going to be covering something in the presentation, all right? You got to pay attention, class. Is that all right? All right, so Nia, let's get started. What is purpose? So we hear Nia, we hear purpose, we hear the catchphrase that goes along with that, right? All right, so I thought y'all remember from last year. So it's a call and response presentation, right? And so if I'm talking to y'all and y'all just looking at me, I'm going to turn it to the dry eyes guy. You know who that is? It's a dude on those commercials, the clear eyes, and he talks just like this. And it'll be the longest 30 minutes of your life. I promise you. So we know the catchphrase, Nia, purpose, and we say the phrase, right? Anybody know it by heart? No? Me either. It's okay. What I do know is that purpose is very, very important. Purpose basically deals with some degree of intentionality, right? So when somebody said, did you do that on purpose? They mean, did you intend to do that? Was that an intentional thing, or was it by accident? Was it by happenstance? Another aspect of purpose is what? Dealing with the reason behind something existing, or the reason behind it being employed. What is it there for? Y'all got it? And so, for example, this microphone in my hand, it has a purpose, right? Yes. I'm about to go to sleep on y'all. So the microphone has a purpose, right? Yes. What's the purpose of this microphone? Amplify my voice, right? It has a purpose. What if I didn't know what this thing existed for? What could I do with it? I could do a whole lot of stuff with it, right? But maybe not what it was intended for, right? Now imagine you being that microphone that you don't know the purpose for. Let's say that you were here for a very, very specific reason, right? And you had no idea what that's for. We didn't come with an owner's manual. Well, yes, we did, but it was codified. And a long time ago, they beat the system out of us and allowed us to interpret it. Did y'all get that? Yeah. A long time ago, they beat the system out of us that would allow us to interpret our owner's manuals. And so now we're running around, and to a hammer, everything is a nail, right? To a deaf, dumb, and blind individual, anything could be great, right? If Superman actually thought that he was Clark Kent, do you know the amount of power he would be wasting? You all are Superman and Superwomen. We rocking kryptonite like it's the latest thing, right? Not realizing that it's draining us. Why? Because we have no clue. Not everybody. Matter of fact, everybody in here does. I'm talking about the folks still outside, not in the building, outside on the street. Have no idea what their purpose is. I'm not talking about anybody in here. If I'm talking about anybody in here, I'm talking about myself, all right? Is that okay? All right, so purpose. I don't know, y'all, I think y'all falling asleep on me. No! So maximizing efficiency and effectiveness. That's required if you want to be successful in life, right? The degree of your efficiency and the degree of your effectiveness can oftentimes determine the heavy of your labor. You ever heard the saying, work smart, not hard? Right. And if you're going to work hard, do it in a smart way, right? Because there's nothing wrong with hard work. But we want to be efficient and we want to be effective. So many things get in our way from efficiency and effectiveness that we end up stagnated a lot of times. we end up with these knee-jerk reactions a lot of times. Like something like, for example, let's just say that I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I do understand the word conspiracy simply means what? Two or more people coming together to plan something. Y'all get it? Yeah. So all the time we hear conspiracy theories, we think somebody paranoid somewhere, right? No, it's just somebody who has a theory that this thing was planned. Now let's just say, for example, some things are planned. And let's say that I wanted to bring a whole lot of money to small town Florida. So what I do, I offer unarmed black male. Put it on the news, and I get folks to come marching. Yes, no? I get folks to charter buses. I get folks to stay in hotels. I get folks to spend in my gas station. I get folks to spend in my restaurant. I get folks to bring that good money down here. The purpose is to express our hurt, right? Yes? To express ourselves, to stand up in some form of defense for ourselves. But a lot of times we don't see the bigger purpose in the whole situation, and so we end up being a microphone that we don't know that's supposed to amplify a voice. Y'all still with me? Yeah. So understanding the purpose oftentimes allows us to see a bigger picture. If you know your purpose as an individual, then you can see what? Why certain things are happening in your life. Why certain people are coming into your path. Why certain things keep happening over and over and over and over and over again, right? Like, for example, I just heard this story one day. It may or may not be true. But it was a sister, one of my students, back in Tennessee, said that she seems like she keeps dating the same guy over and over again. His name changes. His hometown changes. Heck, his complexion has even changed a couple times. But he ends up being the exact same person. She can't understand why this same type of individual keeps showing up in her life. What's the point of all of this, Doc? What's the purpose behind this? There's a lesson to be learned. That's not here nor there. But purpose still. Y'all following me still? Yes. All right, just want to make sure. So although it's specific, it's also flexible and fluid. So let's say, for example, I have the purpose of, I don't know, I'm supposed to be a builder. I'm a builder. I know that that's a part of my life purpose. Now, when I say builder, what do we think of almost immediately? Say again? Houses, right. Some type of construction, right? So that is specific, a builder. But what other ways can we build? We can build each other. We can build institutions, right? We can build other things. I can help to build minds. Y'all get it? I can help to build things that people can utilize, not just physical structures. Y'all got it? And so it's specific, but it's also flexible and fluid. The same mind that it takes to draw a blueprint and to engineer a building is the same mind that's used to organize a community. You have to know the materials. You have to know how the materials fit together. You have to know the terrain upon which the material is going to be built, right? Yes, no, maybe so? Yes. No, and Baba Denzel with the farm, you have to know what the quality of your soil, right? Based on what it is you're going to be growing to feed the people. You have to, it's the same mind though. When you're having children and you're raising children, my purpose is to build. It might be to build my family, right? Same mind. I have to engineer. What do I want to produce? I want to produce brilliant, self-knowledge filled children who are loving, peaceful, but willing to protect themselves and each other at all costs. That's my intentionality. I see what their purpose is. I apply it based on that. Y'all with me? Yes. See, this is all the stuff that many of us have, but too many of us don't. This is the stuff that once you can embrace the concept of purpose and apply it to yourself as an individual and begin to understand better why you're here, what you're here for, what time it is, right? What you are. You ever thought about that? Like, what are you? I'm a man. I'm a black man. I'm an African, right? But what are you? I'm a spiritual being, have a physical experience. And sounds cool, but what are you, right? That's a part of our purpose as well. So we go through anatomy physiology classes in school sometimes, and we hear about the physical body. We hear about the heart, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, right? The nervous system, right? We hear about the skin. Here's another term. What's the largest organ of the body? Skin. I said I was going to save it to last. I couldn't help it. Largest organ of the body is the skin. Now, a great ancestor, Dr. Frances Cress Wells, in transition almost a year ago, she would talk about that largest organ being the skin, and what it does is it helps us to relate to our external environment, right? Every organ in your body has melanin, right? And so just imagine as if the largest organ in your body, the skin, is the one that's deficient. I'm not talking about degree of melanination. I'm not talking about light skin or dark skin, because you can be dark skinned and have inefficient melanin, right? Yes.
Yo.
You can, and you could be super light skinned and have efficient melanin. Meaning that you can be so receptive to your environment that you pick it up on cues, you pick it up on thoughts, you pick it up on intentions, you pick it up on emotion, you pick it up on danger. Your spider senses are tingling, right? And so what she was talking about is being deficient of the entire body, your organ systems, the one that relates to the external world can't relate properly to the external world. Then you start what? Attacking that external world. You start hating on that external world. You start tearing down trees in that external world. You start polluting that external world. You start trying to turn it into a concrete jungle external world. Y'all following? Yes. Right. Again, if we don't understand purpose, we can't approach that stuff properly. If we don't understand the purpose, and she was talking about racism, white supremacy, then we can't, Mr. Fuller says, everything else you think you understand will what?
Confusion.
Only confusion. This is my man right here.
Right.
What's up, Bob?
Check mine.
That's what's big. Let me push on. I know the clock ticking. I don't know how to tell time, by the way. So I thought an easy way to get through this presentation and keep me on task and keep me within the boundaries was to come up with an acronym for Nia and Purpose. Is that all right? Yeah. All right. And so what I'm going to do is going forward, each slide going forward is going to take one of these letters and one of these concepts, and I'm going to talk about it just briefly. Is that all right? Yes. Cool. Let's go. Never, ever think that your life is worthless. Know that you have a divine purpose. Just chill with that for a second. Somebody feel it, because I feel it too. It's like, I'm one of those cats, like, when you feeling something, I feel it too. I'm the dude, I notice you when you notice me, right? And so I feel that right now. Never, ever, ever think that your life is worthless. I don't care what's going on around you. Understand that there is divine purpose. Understand that. Y'all see this? That's kind of blurry, but y'all know who these little babies are, right? Yeah. Y'all know who those champions are, right? Yeah. Same purpose, same person. Same people, same sisters, boss. So everybody has that within them. Whatever that is for you, you have it. And it's never too late to claim it. I'll tell a story. Elder there, he won a copy of my latest book, Symbolically Speaking. There's a story in there with one of my elders in Tennessee. And all his life he was being used by a particular paint corporation. Because he was a brilliant chemist. But he himself didn't understand his own value. And so what they did, they had him in that laboratory, like sun up to sundown. He's being exposed to chemicals. I mean, he to a point where he has a movement disorder. But he went through some holistic healing, and now he walking smooth, posture straight as I don't know what. But check this out. So he and I, we were conversing, and he said that he was the only one that knew how to stop the chemical process to produce a particular color of paint, a particular hue, right? And so they had him in there stopping that reaction on the dime just to get that particular outcome that they needed. So in our conversation, I realized that part of his purpose, he was like a George Washington Carver. You know, I mean, he's one of those sages that's come back that knows things without necessarily having the information. Y'all feel me? Because there's definitely a difference between being informed and knowing. Y'all know that, right? Yes. Like, for example, I could be a librarian at the Library of Congress, all this information right here, right? But I ain't got to know nothing about none of it, except where to tell you to go get it off the shelf, right? But knowledge is different than being informed. But he was knowing without the information, per se. He knew without, like in The Last Dragon, with Bruce Leroy, in the very opening scene, dude was like shooting them arrows at him. He caught that one. He said, "How did you know?" "I don't know." And that was the end of his lesson. Right? How did I get there? All right. Little man, you're supposed to keep me on task, man. We got divine purpose, y'all. Each and every last one of us. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. All right. So from there, once you got that established, now it's time to go to work. It's time to investigate. It's time to start placing inquiries. We have to know these things. The best way of knowing something is to ask questions. How many of y'all ever ran into somebody that already knew everything? Ben knew that. Ben knew that. Like, yo, man, I had this crazy dream last night. I know. How you know what my dream was? But some folks go that hard. They've been knew everything. You know, and those are the people who usually end up not knowing much at all. It's the one that knows that they don't know much that continues to seek. You know, now it's used in a derogatory way, but I say stay hungry, stay thirsty, all right? That way you're always seeking that next thing. Constant self-refinement. The best way to do that is to ask the proper questions. Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., he has that book, United Independent Code System Concept, a textbook / workbook for victims of racism, white supremacy, right? And he came